A Plaguelands Media production.
Hey everyone, this is Hugh from Plaguelands Media bringing you another book review today, so cheers. Now today I am reviewing a Star Trek novel, book one in the Star Trek Destiny series by David Mack. Now, I know that I'm reviewing a Star Trek novel wearing a Star Wars t-shirt. I get it. Some of you are going to be pissed off. So be it. I know there are people that are Star Wars fans and Star Trek fans, and that's perfectly fine. But to be honest, I'm a fan of both. The only reason I'm wearing this shirt while doing this book review is because I think it's only fair, seeing as I did go and see Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, while wearing a Star Trek t-shirt that had Dr. Spock doing his little Vulcan thingy. I can't do it, but he does that V thing. And it had the words "Chow Baby" written on it. And a lot of people were very, very pissed off. So I figured, why not do a Star Trek book review wearing a Star Wars t-shirt? So I am reviewing the novel Gods of Night, which is the first book in the Star Trek Destiny series by David Mack. I actually have this as an omnibus collection. So there is the 3 novels of the trilogy in one. There is the brilliant cover showing Jean-Luc Picard, of course, and then we have the blurb on the back. Now, this isn't a Next Generation book. This is actually set, I believe, let's see, takes place 16 months after the movie Star Trek Nemesis. So in 2381, and there are flashbacks from 2156 through to 2168. Does that mean anything to anybody? Because it sure as shit didn't mean anything to me. I'm a Star Trek fan. I've actually, because of this book, gone back and started rewatching Deep Space Nine. I say rewatching. The first time I watched it, I only got 8 episodes in. But Star Trek is something that's kind of near and dear to my heart. I love the original series. Next Generation, of course, fantastic. I'm a huge fan of Voyager. Now, the novels, like these novels especially, probably don't fit into the Star Trek universe because of Discovery and Picard and new shows that are kind of coming out. Does that lessen the enjoyment of them? Not at all. The only problem I had with Gods of Night was the fact that the author kept throwing characters at you. There are so many fucking characters in this book that you start to get overwhelmed and you start to really not give a shit at all. Now, for those of you that don't want it spoiled, the main plot is basically the Federation against the Borg, of course, because the Borg is kind of like the most popular Star Trek kind of villains. But the Borg aren't assimilating anymore, they're eradicating. It's basically the Borg are committing genocide against the Federation. And you're really getting the story of 4 captains. You're getting, of course, Jean-Luc Picard on the Enterprise. You're getting Riker, who is now a captain on his own right. You are getting Dax, who is the character from Deep Space Nine. The Trill character, those of you that don't know who the Trill are, they're a symbiotic race where when one of their hosts dies, the symbiote is removed and put in another host and blah, blah, blah. But you're also getting Captain Hernandez from the USS Columbia, which was a ship that went missing 200 years before the the story actually kind of begins. So they're the 4 captains you're following, but all through this you get other characters from the Star Trek franchise. You get Tuvok, you get Tom Paris, just a whole bunch like Deanna Troi, a whole bunch of other characters that kind of weave in and out of the narrative. Is that a good thing? If you're a Star Trek fan, yes. If you're not a Star Trek fan, you've got no fucking idea what's going on. Did that lessen the enjoyment of the book for me? Well, I'm a Star Trek fan, so no. I knew who all of these characters were, although, to be fair, I did have to look a few of them up. But, yeah, let's just check out Gods of Night, the first book in the Star Trek Destiny trilogy, in the next episode of...
Read a fucking book. Read a fucking book. Read a fucking book. Read a fucking book. People.
Okay, so the reason why I'm rewatching Deep Space Nine was because the book opens with Benjamin Sisko, who is the commander of Deep Space Nine, and they've just discovered the wreckage or the ruins of the USS Columbia, a ship that had gone missing 200 years earlier, and they're kind of looking into that. Now, as I said, this story takes place where the Borg are finding ways to sneak into Federation space and take out star bases. They're not even assimilating anymore. They're just completely eradicating humanity. I'm not going to go into the nuts and bolts of the story itself because if you're not a Star Trek fan, it's incredibly convoluted, in a good way, of course. But what we know is Dax is on a mission to kind of excavate the starship, the USS Columbia, and some of her crew are getting killed. The Enterprise has this new kind of torpedo that can phase in and out, a photon torpedo that can phase in and out, thus getting around the Borg's weaponry. Those of you that don't know who the Borg are, they're a kind of cybernetic hive mind that assimilate machinery and people, and when you attack them, they can instantly adapt to the phaser fire and things like that. So these torpedoes that can phase in and out, the Borg can't adapt to them, so the Enterprise has these missiles, but Starfleet Command won't let them share the technology with other starships because Starfleet Command thinks that the Borg are going to intercept the message and learn how to basically protect themselves from these torpedoes. Now, Picard is married in this to Beverly Crusher, who was the doctor on The Next Generation, and they're expecting a child, but Picard is still getting these images from the hive mind because at one point in Next Gen he was Locutus of Borg, and at some point they allude to in this book he allowed himself to become a Borg again in order to work out what their plans are. Not too sure what that is referencing. I'm kind of out of the loop on all things kind of Star Trek. This is the first time I've actually read a Star Trek novel in, I would say, about 15 years. So the Enterprise is going around destroying these Borg cubes that are jumping into Federation space and no one knows how they're doing it. And then you have Riker's ship, who Riker and Deanna Troi are expecting a child. It's their second child. The first one was miscarried, and it appears that this one is also, Deanna Troi is going to miscarry this one as well. And this all stems back to an incident in The Next Generation where Deanna Troi was basically impregnated by an alien entity, and the energy, and she gives birth in the episode and the child grows really quickly, but that energy has kind of deteriorated her reproductive system, and so every time she is going to carry a child, it's not going to come to terms, so she's kind of upset about that. And Riker and his crew are trying to work out how the Borg are getting into Federation space. Now, this book jumps between them and the crew of the USS Columbia, led by Captain Hernandez. About 200 years earlier, they were escorting a shuttle group, and they were ambushed by the Romulans. The Romulans got a virus onto the ship, and the USS Columbia fired and destroyed the convoy. And in order to escape from the Romulans after their ship was badly damaged, they did this weird impulse jump thing where they all aged 12 years. It's explained in the book. I can't really explain it very well here, but they end up stranded above this planet called Exegol, and they send an away team down. And this is a planet of aliens who don't want to be, they're way, way technologically advanced, but they don't want to be associated with anyone. And so they tell the crew, your ship can't leave orbit, and you can't leave the confines of the planet, which pisses off some of the crew members, namely the military guys. So we have that story happening while Dax's ship is excavating the wreckage of the Columbia. Crew members start to die from these energy bursts. So that's happening at the same time as Picard realizes that the Borg are planning this huge attack. So they go off to kind of stop that. And Riker and his crew are trying to pinpoint exactly where the Borg are coming through and end up at this place called the Azure Nebula. So you've got these stories all happening at the same time. Now, there's a lot of characters that appear, like Geordi appears, and we get a whole lot of other characters like Tom Paris from Voyager. We know that Catherine Janeway has passed away. Chakotay is still around. Tuvok is still around. Tom Paris's wife, B'Elanna Torres, who was the Klingon in Voyager, and they had a kid together. She and the kid have left, so he's kind of despondent. And there's all these little things for Star Trek fans to pick up on and to enjoy that make this book ultimately whole for a Star Trek fan. It's a great read. It culminates in the Enterprise going into battle against a Borg fleet. Dax is kind of trying to solve this murder mystery and getting a call from the Enterprise saying that they need emergency assistance. Starfleet is basically shitting on all their ideas because they don't think it's such a big problem. And then Riker has kind of pinpointed where this stuff is kind of happening from at this nebula, which leads back to the USS Columbia 200 years earlier, where the military guys tried to mutiny and take over the ship to get out of there. But in doing so, they destroyed a lot of Exegol's technology. So the aliens who were trying to contact other aliens, their planet ends up getting destroyed because the star system goes supernova, and they take a few of the cities through these wormholes through space and time, which Hernandez kind of doesn't like. She doesn't want to mess up the time continuum. And Riker discovers this new planet, and when an away team goes down onto the planet and are welcomed there, they discover that it is one of the cities from 200 years earlier. But when that city went through the time portal, it was actually thrust 600 years back, so it's kind of 800 years since that happened or whatever. But Captain Hernandez is still alive with these aliens, and they have dubbed this planet New Exegol, and that is where the book ends. It ends on a major cliffhanger. Now, if I didn't have the omnibus version and I just bought the first book of the trilogy before the others had come out, I would have been mega pissed off. Because I want to fucking know where the story's going. But I have the omnibus edition, so I can just pick it up and read where the story's going. Star Trek Destiny. Did I enjoy it? Yeah, I actually really did. But it's because I've watched original series, I've watched Next Gen, I've watched the first 8 episodes of Deep Space Nine, but I'm kind of watching them again now. I've watched Voyager, the new ones, Discovery. I watched the first season, enjoyed it. I watched a little bit of Picard, not too much though, but thought it was kind of cool. So yes, I am a Star Trek fan, and for a Star Trek fan, this is fun. The Borg, oh man, they've been done to fucking death. Like, no one gives a shit about the Borg anymore. But I'm interested to find out why the Borg are acting the way they are acting, because it is completely against everything we know about them. They are committing genocide as opposed to assimilation. So, yeah, Star Trek Destiny, Gods of Night, loved it, recommend it if you're a Star Trek fan. If you're not, you're going to hate this book. So, you probably saw Star Trek in the fucking title of the video and just turned away. So, you know what? Whatever, it's all good, but just wanted to give you the heads up. So, cheers everyone. If you enjoyed the video, like, subscribe, leave a comment, hit the notification bell, all of that fucking stuff. But most importantly, we are so close to 500 subscribers. Tell your friends, tell your family. When you go to the supermarket, tell the person at the cash register. Or just tell random people, hey, Plaguelands Media, YouTube, fucking subscribe. Walk down the street and tell 6 people and 1 cat. There you go. That's all you fucking need. We get to 500, maybe, just maybe, there's a special video coming. You'll never know because we're not at 500 yet. But if we do, fucking make it happen. So, everyone, stay safe. Have a fantastic rest of your day. But most importantly, and I cannot stress this enough, read a fucking book, people.